Welcome to South Harmon. Welcome to South Harmon. Hey, welcome to South Harmon. We glad you here today. Another AMA. Ask me anything. Super chat is cool if you wanna pay to play. Like and subscribe, that's what we really appreciate. Let me introduce you to the tear down king. Mike McNutted, ask your questions, he'll answer anything. ATM, you know Adam, put them graphics on the screen. Glad you tapped in now, stay tapped in for the team. Hey, everything is posted. Go follow the socials. South Harmon, FF tag us if we get noticed. Welcome to South Harmon, we glad you here today. Welcome to South Harmon, we glad you here today. Another AMA. Welcome to South Harmon, we glad you here today.
What's good, shitheads? Welcome back into a Wednesday night AMA. And as you can see, there is no Adam. Adam didn't want to come celebrate us hitting 10,000 YouTube subscribers, apparently. I think we'll just replace him. But we replaced him tonight for sure with Alan. Alan's my bae. He's my bae. What's up, buddy? How you doing?
That intro song. And honestly, I was a little tired. You know, it's 9 p.m. on the East Coast, a long day. But that minute that intro song hits, my neck hair stands up, my back hair stands up, and I'm back. I'm like, it's literally, you know, just it's like a shot of adrenaline, man. A little, methamphetamine hit for me.
Oh, it's great, man. Fizzle goes hard. He knows how to get the people going, right? It's like Blades of Glory. Nobody even knows what it means, but it's provocative.
So you guys
hit people going. You
guys hit 10K on YouTube now?
Sure did. Hit 10K today. Pretty incredible. I'm mind blown, mind fucked. It's been long enough since the intro. I can say the F word now. We're good. Mm-hmm. Mind fucked about the amount of people who have subbed here in this last week. So means Alan, I got to get my shit together because I did promise we were going to have a crazy giveaway for 5K. Mm-hmm. We doubled that. I got to fucking go twice as hard now. I got to go twice as hard.
So what are you going to give away? Like a jersey, or are you doing like a gift card, or is it like, hey, here's a South Harmon t-shirt?
Well, no, for the last giveaway, for 1,000, when we hit 1,000 last year, I had a signed JSN jersey, Xavier Worthy signed jersey. We had a couple other things. I had a Keishawn Butte, couple pictures, turned out to be trash, but at the time last year, they didn't look so bad. We were about this time last year, Alan, like, Keishawn Butte signed pictures, like, you're like, let's go.
That was something. That was it was Bitcoin during the pandemic. You know, not Bitcoin what it is today. It was like, had the potential for upside, but it went to zero.
I think it was more like Shiba, right?
Right, like Doge, or like shit coin.
It was a shit coin. It was a meme coin, that's for sure.
Yeah.
But definitely not Bitcoin. Hey, by the way, Bitcoin was running today. I was pretty excited, right? Just seeing those green numbers in my account makes me feel good.
Yep. Now, what's it called? I'm saying it's on a little run. You know, anyone that's but the problem is when Bitcoin goes up is that I start getting everyone trying to pitch me like Pepe coin and like all these other crazy memes.
Something you never heard of, right?
I'm like, dude, I don't want Pepe coin. Just stop.
Maybe see, we got the perfect brand here, right? South Harmon Institute Technology. We could literally have a shit coin.
I mean, literally and figuratively, right?
Figuratively. I don't know if you caught the AMA last week too, but I almost shit myself live on air. It was pretty bad.
Like actual duty?
Yeah. So
I mean, I would pay to see. I
got into the Zins, all right? Trying to quit hard chewing tobacco. So we're just going with nicotine pouches, right? So you start off and, I got into 6 milligrams. That's what the Zin, the big boy Zins are, right? Mm-hmm. The big ones. So they come in 3s or 6s. So I did 6s. Well, then I got a little experiment, right? Got on the interwebs, found some shady websites in fucking Poland or wherever the hell it is.
Ukraine?
Yeah, and I found some super high strength ones, right? So, I got some in. I tried the 33 milligram one, and I was like, oh man, that thing like hits like a truck. But I promised the people, specifically Dynasty Barry, if he pops in here tonight, that I did find a 66 milligrammer. And I was going to pop it on air. And I did last week, Alan, and I almost died. and then I had to shit really bad. Nicotine's like a laxative for me. It's like instantaneous. And the people here, the viewers, they wouldn't let me go, right? They kept super chatting. Like, you have to stay and answer super chats or acknowledge them. So, yeah, we were getting to the point where I was really clenching pretty hard.
Real man shits right in his pants. I mean, so I actually, this happened. So 100 years, a million years ago, I used to DJ in nightclubs. That was like my thing in the late 90s and early 2000s. And one time, everyone knows that feeling when you have to go to the bathroom, right? Like there's no escaping it. You just like the sweat starts pouring down,
Yes.
all that stuff. So I was on the turntables, right? And I had to go. It was like, no. So I'm dashing through the crowd. People think I'm like doing some DJ move. They're like high-five me. I'm like pushing people out of the way. It was some dirty nightclub in New Jersey. I get to the stall, diarrhea splatter everywhere, right? I mean, just like, just the wall, just all over the side, the bowl, the handle. It was just uncontrollable. Now I look over, no toilet paper. What do you do? What would you do? Now you have wet diarrhea on your, the hair of your cheeks, everything like that.
No toilet paper.
Yeah. So what's the move? Like, you have to get back. The turntables are moving. Like the
right.
Running out.
Did they have one of those? In a lot of industrials or public restrooms, they have those giant deep bowl sinks with like the foot pedal that you push. No,
this was like a crackhead club. There was like,
crackhead.
disgusting.
So just a regular sink, right? Like a.
I'm in the stall. I'm not going out the stink with my pants down to my ankles.
No, I don't give a fuck at that point. Yeah, I'm going out there.
So what do you do? What's your move here?
I go right out, pants around the ankles, not touching nothing, back that ass right up to the sink and just start rinsing, baby.
That's a first. So usually when I ask this question, right, see, Fizzle got it. He said socks. That's the right answer. You put it on your hand remember we talked about shittens last time? It's a mitten. It becomes a mitten. So most people say, oh, use your underwear. That's disgusting. You got it. You take your sock off, you put it on like a glove, and you wipe, and then you pull it off like a rubber glove, so it's on the inside, and then you discard.
I mean, that's fair. That's fair. I wouldn't have thought to use my socks. I'm an idiot by trade.
I mean, I was in complete panic mode, but the sock thing did happen. Most people say, use your underwear. You're running out to the sink in some dirty nightclub in New Jersey, washing your ass in the sink. That's a first for me.
Well, I did have kind of the similar thing, like you, at work one day. Driving into work, had to go, but we're like, we're fine. We're going to make it. Get to work. Hurry up and run to the bathroom. Just get your pants around the ankles and just before you even sit down, just a catastrophic mess. Yeah. I went down a little ways and we had a garden hose, and I just brought the garden hose into the stall with me. And
I love that you're even filthier than I am. That's like amazing. Everyone has a good shit story, right? I mean, like everyone in the audience, anyone you talk to has one of these type of stories. Yeah. So I mean, we could do a whole, I mean, it's appropriate. The shitheads, right? It deserves a segment.
It is. See, we were talking about this before we went live.
Yeah.
EDG really changed that.
Yeah. I mean,
skip it up.
South Harmon was a means to an end.
It's a means to an end.
Yeah.
We're his first girlfriend.
That's right.
Very first one.
Right. You always remember your first.
All right, Alan. Scouting combine this weekend. Some things get kicked off tomorrow. Big ones for us, Dynasty players, fantasy football enthusiasts. Saturday, quarterbacks, running backs, wide receivers. Do you have anybody that you're specifically like watching? Like anybody you're kind of a fan of or rooting for, or anybody you want to see just do really well?
Yeah. Let me start with the premise that I don't believe the combine matters as much as we all think it does, right? Like as far as like where they get drafted. I mean, It matters on the margins. It's one piece, but I mean, we really, oh my God, this guy ran a 4.36 and not a 4.35, and and that's going to drop. And meanwhile, it doesn't, right? Now, if some guy surprises, remember the year John Ross ran like way faster than everyone thought he was going to, and then all of a sudden,
when they juiced his numbers just to spice up the combine because he didn't actually run as fast as Chris Johnson.
Exactly. There you go. See,
conspiracy theory.
I love it. Hey, listen, it's not a conspiracy theory if it's only paranoia if they're not out to get you, So,
right. His 4.22 40.
Right. So point is that I think we are investing because look, it's an entertainment product. The Super Bowl is a corporate event, right? The NFL draft is more of like for the fans. And now the NFL Combine is the next event they're going to take on the road. They've already said this. The plan is, how they take the draft on the road?
Yes.
The next idea is to take for the hardcore fans, they're going to take the NFL Combine on the road. So they have to create storylines. Now, look, they're putting all of the position players we care about. So that said, I don't think it matters that much, but I want to see what J.J. McCarthy does, man.
Ooh, yes. He's got his time to shine, right? No Drake May, no Jaden Daniels, no Caleb Williams. It's him versus Michael Penix and Bo Nix.
I call
gotta
him,
like those odds, don't you?
Yes. Yeah, I call him 12-inch, Michael Penix. That's my name.
Penix.
12-inch.
Mr. 12-inch.
Yeah,
I like it.
yeah.
Well, you remember Cardell Jones when he came out? They used to nickname him 12 gauge.
So nice.
Might as well just go 12-inch.
Yeah, because I think some team, and also you brought up Bo Nix, some team in the top 3, top 5 is not going to like the quarterback that's there. It's going to take Marvin Harrison, probably a pick before we think he's going to go, and then just take Bo Nix in the second round, right? I mean, that's no one's really, not too many people are discussing that strategy, but what if the Patriots don't like who's there at 3?
That's we had a mock draft, so every Monday night, patrons know, but we do a mock draft on this channel live. So the patrons get involved, people pick for different teams. We did 2 rounds on Monday night, and that's the way the Patriots went. I picked for the Patriots, Alan, so that exact scenario took Marv at 3. But in the second round, it wasn't Bo Nix, it was Michael Penix, because I think Bo Nix is terrible.
Right. Well, so whoever their other guys,
whoever their guy is,
right? So and I think that Brock Purdy is given probably false hope, but that hey, we can nail this in the second round, the third round. Jalen Hurts, Dak Prescott, Russell Wilson. We used to say outlier, but now it's like maybe
Derek
quarterback doesn't matter. Derek Carr, right? I mean, for everything, he was an MVP candidate not too long ago, Mike.
Yes. Yep, Derek Carr is a decent enough quarterback and a good enough success story for guys in the second, third, fourth round on. So,
yep. Let me ask you then. I said J.J. McCarthy. What does J.J. McCarthy have to do, in your opinion, to cement himself in the top 12? So I'm giving you that Minnesota pick also.
Oh, I think he's already there for me. Now, I was slower than a lot of people to get there. Shout out to Derek Brown, Thor over at Fantasy Pros. Their podcast on J.J. McCarthy was very good. I still have some concerns, right? Like some of the numbers that they cited, yes, the analytical numbers look good in this situation. The overall volume's terrible. Under pressure numbers, I'm not too thrilled with. And then the eye test, he makes a lot of like, okay, that was a hell of a throw. You can see the talent. Then he has some other stuff where it's like, all right, I kind of see why they don't really trust you to run the offense through it. And some of it's the system, but I think there's enough buzz, not only amongst our community, but apparently amongst the NFL community. Plus, like you said, you scouted the fact he's going to be there, or cited the fact that he's going to be there by himself this weekend, essentially. I think for me, he's kind of already locked in. I'm already preparing my brain mentally that I had a tier of like 7 guys in rookie drafts, Superflex leagues, and now I add an 8th to it. And if it is a top 12 pick, like you said, which I'm kind of anticipating, really shakes it up, man. And I think the biggest loser is probably going to be like Rome Odunze, which is amazing for those people who are picking 7 or 8 going like, what the fuck? How's this guy here?
Right.
So I like him, Alan. And I think whether it's the Broncos, whether it's the Vikings, whether it's the Falcons, now we'll kind of see there's some rumors about Justin Fields is like good as done to Atlanta, but there's a lot of teams kind of in that range where you go, shit, this would make a lot of sense. And then maybe we have a wild trade up, maybe Vegas gets involved, says, hey, we're going to throw our hat into the mix here.
Right. So do you think that pick 13, you said Vegas, is the absolute floor for McCarthy?
Kind of feeling that way right now.
Okay.
Kind of feeling that way.
It could be Denver. I mean, there's a lot of different places. Now, also, you were talking about rookie drafts, and that's why people come to South Harmon. They want the great analysis that you guys give, but they also want to know about rookie draft strategy. Whoever the RB1 is, I mean, we can debate after who you think it's going to be, but whoever the first running back drafted is, and let's say, for example, they go to a spot that we like. Let's say that,
Cowboys in the second round.
There it is. Okay. That's the ultimate spot, right?
Mm-hmm.
Let's say Barkley signs somewhere else and the guy ends up on the Giants at pick 47. I mean, that's an okay spot, but we're still going to like it, right? Yep. That guy, how people, you guys hate running backs, but 20-year-old running backs, that guy's going to go ahead of Rome Odunze as well.
Ooh, that'd be interesting. See, right now it's hard for me to project it because I have that bias, right? I have that. I'm not falling for it. I'm a giant Braylon Allen fan. Like I've been a Braylon Allen fan since probably his first game, and this goes back to a guy named Jordan Backus who works for Destination Devy in the Madison area. Got us onto Braylon Allen before he even really stepped on campus. But a converted safety / linebacker, just learning how to play running back. He dominated as a true freshman at 17 years old, and he's built like a fucking brick shithouse. Yeah. And you've seen him house 90-plus yarders multiple times, and you go, holy shit. Now, Alan, even this weekend, if he were to come out and he ran like a 4.4, which would be the rosiest of outcomes, and he looked good in the agility drills, and he looked good in the catching drills, and you got a prime landing spot like Dallas in the second round, I'm 1,000% with you. The community as a whole is going to vault him up. All of a sudden, we're talking about, with those mid-first, maybe you take Braylon Allen, right? Shit, all of a sudden, 109's going, fuck yeah, buddy, let's go, Roma Dunze. Or Drake May, if that's the hated quarterback, right? Drake May falls to 8, 11, 12, something like that. He's the odd man out, goes behind J.J. McCarthy for heaven bid. Oh, my God. Ooh. All of a sudden, like this tier of 7, now we just keep expanding it a little bit more. So it is going to be interesting to see what happens at the combine, especially with like the running back prospects, because we could get them. Right now, it seems like most people are going, this class sucks, they're mid, whatever. Underwear Olympics will change a lot, though, Alan. They will. They will. You see these guys go out there and run fast, measure in at 220-plus pounds. Oh, yeah.
Yep. You said it exactly right. Like it's all about, dynasty players. We always like to think that we think long term, but we see shiny new toy. It's like that meme when the guy's looking back at the chick and everyone always puts like,
yeah, yep.
Yeah. It's someone say, oh, I love my 2023 rookies. The next one should be like 2024 prospects should be the girl behind. Right. So yeah, I again, running back thirst, everyone's looking for a running back. And if you're on the clock and let's say, Roma Dunze or whoever's going to be your 4th best receiver. You have Mike Evans. You have, guys that you're a little bit older now. Jordan Addison and, another top 20, Terry McLaurin. You're going to be like, okay, I could really use Roma Dunze, but my running backs are, are James Cook and so on worse. So that's going to be a real decision. Like you said, your ADP that you guys post on South Harmon FF. Was it FF South Harmon or South Harmon FF?
SouthHarmonFF.com, baby.
I'm on there often. I'm on there often. I have it in my bookmarks. That's why I don't type it in.
You don't have to type it in. You don't have to worry about it.
Yep. So, but that's what I'm saying. Like, you're going to see those ADPs be like right next to each other. And there's almost no, I'm going to make that prediction that RB1, if they go in the second round, which we all think they will, and they're in a spot we even modestly like, that player will go ahead of wide receiver 3.
Okay. I can get behind it. I did see something interesting here on the Twitter sphere today that I thought was interesting. What is your kind of thoughts with Superflex League? Do you feel like quarterbacks with first-round draft capital get pushed up a little bit too much and people maybe take them over the elite wide receivers? So let's just establish, at least in my opinion, there's 3 elite wide receivers, right? Marv, Neighbors, Adunze. Would you have a consideration in your drafts? Is it team dependent or whatever? Would you take a J.J. McCarthy, a Drake May, if that's kind of the faller, before one of those 3 wide receivers?
In the past, I would have said yes. What the hell are you talking about? But Zach Wilson and Jamar Chase and, all that stuff that
Trey Lance.
Right, Trey Lance, right. We've learned our lessons that just because they're taken in the top 3 doesn't, or even the top 10 doesn't, they're not owed anything. But what we do know is like when a player, for example, is the 101, that's a special kind of insulation, right? Mm-hmm. Bryce Young couldn't have had, Bryce Young was picked to pick 9 last year. People are to be saying like, it's Josh Rosen, right? Just replace him this year. But because he's the 101, that's a special level of insulation. But we're talking about, okay, Kenny Pickett was a good example from a couple of years ago, right? He was the 20th pick, but he was the first quarterback. So he gets pushed up. So the short answer is yes. I think that how expensive quarterbacks are to trade for in dynasty leagues. I mean, in season, you can't just like, oh yeah, I'll give a second for Matt Stafford. You're not getting that done, right? You're going to have to pay like your late first if you really want to get it done. Maybe in some leagues you can pay, all that stuff. But so when you have an opportunity to take a quarterback and they're a top 10 pick, yeah, I mean, it's very difficult to turn out. I usually go to the value of the quarterback, but giving up, a Marvin Harrison for someone like that, it's going to be tough. Like you're saying that some people are going to be there at pick 4 or pick 3, and it's going to be Marvin Harrison or Drake May. That's probably a real choice that people are making, right?
Right.
No one's going to take McCarthy, but it would be so. And if Drake May goes to the Patriots and we don't love the landing spot, man, I'm very interested to see how dynasty players, now that they're more sophisticated than they've ever been. The average dynasty player is a very good player now.
So hypothetically, just on our draft, what if it was like J.J. McCarthy to the Vikings at 12 or at 11, and you had Rome Odunze fall to the Saints at 15?
And Kirk Cousins is not re-signed, right?
Kirk Cousins is not re-signed.
Yeah, now that's the time where I'm quarterback. Give me the quarterback. Because I can get Rome Odunze. Well, I'm just guessing in most rankings, is he wide receiver 14 to 16? Do I have that about right?
He's going to fall kind of probably in that range overall.
So you can, if J.J. McCarthy is the starting quarterback of the Minnesota Vikings with Justin Jefferson signed, you can get wide receiver 10, 11, 12 for him.
All right, what about like a Drake May over a Malik Neighbors, assuming they both get top 10 draft capital?
Yeah, so I guess I am a quarterback guy because that was an easy call for me too. Not easy, but it's like I want those quarterbacks. Now, I always hear you guys talk about this on your podcast. If I have Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson, then maybe that sways it a little bit. But not many teams have an elite combination like that. Most teams have Lamar and like Jared Goff.
I got a lot of it too, right? We brought up Trey Lance, you brought up Zach Wilson as one. Kenny Pickett was another one. But those are like the recent ones that kind of stick in our mind. Like nobody really wants to talk about the ADP and rookie drafts just a couple years before that, like how they went. So, Alan, did you know Jerry Jeudy went over Justin Herbert?
I think I might have taken him there.
Okay.
Yeah.
How about N'Keal Harry over Daniel Jones? Now, Daniel Jones is not sexy at all. But
Daniel Jones, you were getting in the second round of rookie drafts, of super flex drafts.
Yes.
But like I said a moment ago, you're talking about like 5 years ago, even 3 years ago. I believe that, and because of guys like you, man, I know you don't like to take a victory lap for this. For Dynasty Trades at 5, for South Harmon, we're doing over at RotoWire, for Player Profiler, anyone out there making Dynasty content, they have made a very well-oiled Dynasty player. This is not the same marketplace as was 3 years ago. So we can goof on those things, but remember the first trade you made in your Dynasty League where I know like I paid three first round picks for David Johnson after he was injured. Like I knew he was injured. I still gave someone 3 firsts for him.
I traded away Austin Eckler for a 3rd round pick.
There you go. Mine's still worse, but because mine was team ruinous for years.
I just gave away a great player for a 3rd that was probably a shitter.
I don't need that guy. I don't need
Paris Campbell, J.J. Arcega-Whiteside, and Mecole Hardman all went over Daniel Jones. Like, think about those wild days.
Yeah, I call him J.J. Arcega downside.
But you want a great one?
Yeah.
Michael Gallup, James Washington, Anthony Miller, and Christian Kirk all over Lamar Jackson.
Yeah, well, do you remember all the Anthony Miller hype? I mean, people were like, him or Calvin Ridley? I mean, that was, if only we knew.
Corey Davis, elite draft capital over Deshaun Watson and Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah, in Superflex.
Yep.
Right, because they were top 10. They weren't top. Like Mitch Trubisky was going ahead of those guys.
Right. This is the kind of thing. Like I see a lot of people out there being like, you don't take the quarterback, but the one thing that I always lead, you will have those misses. You will have the Trey Lance. You will have the Zach Wilson, the Kenny Pickett's of the world. There's only been one quarterback though, Alan, that anybody can cite in recent memory who was a 1st round draft pick at quarterback, and then their value just went to 0 the next year.
I mean, Dwayne Haskins.
No, even Dwayne Haskins did not fit that mold.
I mean, when he died, he went to 0.
But that wasn't his next year. So that wasn't his 2nd year, yeah.
So who was it then?
Josh Rosen.
Right. We just talked about him, right?
So think about even like Kenny Pickett. It's been 2 kind of uninspiring years, but it's been 2 years. And there's a possibility we get a 3rd year. Mm-hmm. Mac Jones just had his 3rd year. Trey Lance, up until last year's trade to the Dallas Cowboys, because I was still buying Trey Lance in the offseason for first, right? Like there were still believers. You were still getting that market for Trey Lance. Now it wasn't the 201 type market or the 112 startup type market that it used to be, but there was still a market for him. Think about some of these 1st round wide receivers, Alan. When they miss, what do you get for them? I mean, like
Rashad Bateman.
Yeah, I think the community's gotten a lot better. Now, we used to make excuses for him, and you'll still see people out there like, I gave Debro a little shit this week too, because he was posting the Dan Campbell talking about Jameson Williams, and I'm like, as your friend, just don't. All right, just let this fucking thing die. Move on. Take your second, be happy. Take your couple thirds.
You're out on JMO.
I'm good, man. I'm good.
I get it. I mean, I get it, but he finished kind of strong at the end, and he actually had impact in the playoffs. So that's why I think it's like the old Godfather 3 quote. Just when I'm out, they pull me back in.
Right.
So that is there's something there. It's not like we kind of saw it in a big game.
The sample size of guys who have missed through a year and a half of playing and have come back to actually be relevant for the long term is very, very small. It's off the top of my head. It's what, Devontae Adams?
Well, let me ask you, right? That's the biggest one. So if somebody wanted to take JMO off your team and give you like Deontay Johnson for him,
easily, I'll take DJ.
That's easily okay.
Yeah, no question.
How about Jerry Jeudy in a second? I'm giving you, give me JMO.
I fucking hate Jeudy too, but I'll take Jeudy in the second. Process play.
Marvin Mims straight up.
No, I don't like Mims at all.
Okay.
You can throw him in that Jameson Williams bucket, right? That's a face planter if there ever was a face planter too. Like I see people buying back in, like it'll be different this year. Same people bought back into Sky Moore's second year. Right? They're still waiting. Still waiting.
Did you see the Sean Payton quote though about Mims? You saw that one, right? What he said at the combine. For those who didn't hear it, when they asked,
did he say something good?
He took responsibility for him. What he said was, they said, "What happened with Mims? What's his outlook for next year?" Something like that. And Sean Payton said the only reason Mims didn't fire, and I forget again, I'm just paraphrasing, was because of us. They took accountability for it. He didn't say we're going to use him again next year. He just said we're the reason why he didn't.
Yeah, I don't want to buy back into those guys. Like, it just hasn't worked out. Devontae Parker was, a fifth-year breakout? Like, we had to wait on him that long?
Yeah, and if you didn't have him on a basketball team, you never started him anyway because,
who cares?
You weren't – because with guys like that, you're never sure. They do a couple things, and then you can't put them in, and then they do nothing, and then you have to get them another show-me week. So those guys are impossible to predict.
I was great with the Devontae Parker breakout. I got to sell him for a first right after that season. It was nice. It's a good trade up.
That is a good trade.
Those kind of wide receivers, Alan, right? The position is so damn deep. Just think about it this year. I got a bet with one of our patrons. He doesn't think it's going to happen. So I'll get your opinion. I got to ask you right now, how many wide receivers do you think go in the first round of this draft?
Okay,
rookie wide receivers.
So we always think there's going to be more than there actually is, right? We always I remember a couple. So we know for sure 3. So then we're gonna So I would set the Vegas line at 4.5, and I would probably expect good odds on the under. So I would say no more than 5, but probably 4.
Okay, well you take his side then.
What do you think?
Love it. I think there's going to be 6. Okay. At least 6.
So I'll look up while you're hosting here what the
wonder if we got a line already on this
one.
Huh?
I'll say. All right, because they're not going to put those lines up until the combine.
Yeah. Well, shit, they didn't put out the 40 props on Prize Picks till just like a few minutes ago.
Oh wow! All right.
They've been slacking, man.
Prize Picks, as much as I love them, they've been taking a hit. They're getting kicked out of states left and right. They just got kicked out of New York the other day, Massachusetts, but. They're going to fix it up. They're going to be okay. I love Prize Picks.
Okay, so let's just go through them real quick then. Marv, Malik Neighbors, Rome Odunze.
We all agree there.
Locks. Brian Thomas.
I would say 80% chance.
Troy Franklin.
This is where it gets like he's right on the cusp. It's like what if Kansas City takes him at 32? Then you're in.
Xavier Worthy.
I think. It's not like, hey, let's go one by one. Now we're in the bucket where one of these guys will get in. So I'm at 50% on Troy Franklin, and everyone else goes down from there, or whoever elevates to that spot after the combine.
So you got Keon Coleman in that mix, Brian Thomas, Xavier Worthy, Troy Franklin, Ladd McConkey, Adonai Mitchell.
Ladd feels like a second rounder, doesn't he?
Does. But he also kind of feels like maybe he's that sneaky back end. And a lot of this, too, Adam and I talked about it on the Canton Bound pod right? Just kind of what we were looking at for some of these guys. Hypothetically, though, with the way Ladd runs routes, like he's a film darling just with the amount of separation he gets. Like it's almost disgusting. And he unfairly kind of gets pigeonholed because we just think this dude's just like Julian Edelman, right? He's Wes Welker, he's a Hunter Renfrow type.
Cooper Kupp keeps coming up, and
Cooper Kupp. But hypothetically, though, when I watch Ladd play, like this some bitch can move. So if he were to come out this week, I know it's in shorts and cutoffs, but if he ran a 4.4 with the way he runs routes, are we talking about a potential late first round pick?
I think it's going to be tough to. You get one first round pick. The GM's got to say, "This is my guy. This is my." I mean, I hear you, and I think that's probably a smart move. But that's traditionally. Is there anyone that's ever looked like him, been like him, that's gone in the first round in the last 5 drafts? I mean, we could say that. Look, Jordan Addison was Zay Flowers. They're kind of smallish wide receivers, but it's totally different. It's just so easy to see Carolina taking him at pick 33, right? McConkey, we're talking about.
Yep.
I mean, anything's possible, but let's look at those teams in the back end. I mean, I'll just read them down. You tell me. Cincinnati's probably out of the wide receiver market, right?
Unless I know they're going to tag T. Higgins, but it doesn't prohibit them from trading him. If they were to trade him, then
let's assume he keep him. Let's assume that.
Right. Assume they keep him. Yep, they're probably out. They do need a slot, but that kind of feels like more of a day 2, or they let Charlie Jones take over the reins.
There you go. And then also they're the floor, I believe, for Brock Bowers too, since they've tried the Hayden Hurst thing, the Irv Smith thing. They just keep missing on the vets. So maybe they go to the elite, prospect well. All right. So Pittsburgh, probably not. Rams, probably not.
Nope.
Miami, I don't think so. Houston, with Cleveland's pick. Everyone that says, there you go. There it is.
That's been one that has been rumored.
All right.
That they could add that third wide receiver.
And McConkey's game fits in with Nico Collins and Tank Dell.
Yes,
it's like a good. So there it is. Okay, so
you got the big-bodied alpha, you got the deep threat in Tank Dell, and now you got that intermediate.
You just persuaded me that this is probably more than possible now. See,
it's another thing too. Like him and Rashee Rice in Kansas City would work very well together. Rashee Rice more in that Debo kind of role. Ladd a little bit more in that intermediate route. Right now, that's occupied by Travis Kelce, but how long are they going to rely on Travis Kelce for?
A year.
You got to start thinking about the future there. So it's a possibility. I don't say it's likely. All right. What the one that everyone wants to see in Kansas City, I think, and make people go crazy would be like a Xavier Worthy pick. It's like, oh shit, there's that speedster we need, and he would fit that role for him.
Yeah, it just it a lot of times. I remember I went back to some of the video content that I made for the Justin Jefferson draft with the Jahan Dotson, and I said, oh, they're going to set a record for the number of wide receivers in the first round. And then I look back, people say it almost every year, especially since wide receiver price, for their contracts, the pricing has gone up. So what better way to offset that than with a rookie contract? We always talk about, hey, the cheat code for real football is a quarterback on a rookie contract. It holds true for wide receivers as well. When you're facing, listen, Justin Jefferson's worth it, but there's a lot of guys that are going to be coming due. Jerry Jeudy, obviously not worth it, right? So you're right. Hunter Renfrow. There's a whole class of guys where you just let them walk. So
right back to this, and we'll get to Jay's super chat here. So I have 5 guys that I think are locks for first round picks at the wide receiver position. Right, the big 3: Brian Thomas for sure, and then I'm going to say one of Troy Franklin or Xavier Worthy because of that speed element that they bring. So pick one of those guys. Now you can put the other ones into the bucket. I have 5 more that potentially could be first round picks, Alan. Like potentially. It just depends on scheme fit, how they perform at the combine. Like an interesting one, Xavier Legette is kind of polarizing, right? Didn't have the greatest Senior Bowl by all accounts, but it's also kind of rumored that he left early because of injury, so he may not have been healthy. You go and look at his production from this past year, and you go, damn, this was nice. Like, there's a lot to like about him. Measured in at the Senior Bowl 2 inches, 3 inches shorter than we actually thought he was. Kind of a red flag. You had the bad Senior Bowl, whether it was due to injury or not. here's the thing. He's a 5th-year senior. Like, his production didn't come until the 5th year. So that's another red flag. But then I'm sitting there and I'm listening to Thor and Debro break this down and look at some of the lines that Vegas has. And he is one of the guys that they're projecting to run the fastest at the NFL Combine at the wide receiver position. And you can kind of throw all this shit out the window that we just said, because if he's healthy and he comes in there at 6'1", 227 pounds, this rocked up fucking behemoth that he is, and he runs in the 4.3s, throw the shit out the window, all right? Everybody's going to go, that's the next A.J. Brown, but faster. That's that dude.
Yeah, and all those things I think can secure him a spot earlier in the second round. It just doesn't, like
feel like it. Yep.
Yeah, there's a. You know how NFL teams do this. You've watched a gazillion drafts, right? It has to be, a lot of these guys are just like, I cannot screw this pick up. They go floor rather than upside a lot of times other than quarterback, right? When you get into quarterbacks, we all think that they're going to be safe. You just named 100 examples, but when you're talking about these wide receivers that are not, they're not all the mockers are saying, except for the Patriots, right? They take like middle linebackers and like pick 12 or something. They're the only team that does it.
North Dakota State offensive lineman.
There you go. And think about it. What's the one thing that Bill Belichick had all those years that most GMs don't have? Job security.
Yeah.
So I think that plays into it a lot. They don't want to whiff on a first round pick. I'm not saying that Xavier Leggett is going to be a whiff, but that's the guy you're going to, be like the face of your draft class. It just, that's a stretch. I think that's a stretch. I mean, listen, I hope you're right. I like when there's more fantasy guys that have good draft capital.
I get it. I think one of the things that lends it to the setup for me though, Alan, is that it's a talented defensive draft, but there's not superstars. Right? There's not going to be those guys who get pushed up. Like, there's good depth of this class where you're like, okay, I kind of like this guy, but there's not a lot of separation. So I wonder if we're going to get like the premier dynasty draft class with all these quarterbacks going, all these wide receivers going. I mean, who gives a shit about the running backs? You throw one tight end, maybe two in Jatavian Sanders. He could possibly sneak into the back end of the first round at some point. I've seen that mocked. I don't think it's likely, but it could happen. We could set up for the perfect rookie class, the best one we're probably ever going to see. So if I look at it too, teams that have a pick in the first round that need wide receivers, right? You got the Bears. You got the Patriots. You got the Cardinals. You got the Chargers. You got the Giants. You got the Titans. The Falcons are going to need somebody else besides Kyle Pitts and Drake London, right? I think Josh Ali is their second wide receiver right now.
Right, but they're going to probably hit the veteran market. But yeah, yeah.
The Jets
yes,
need a wide receiver. The Broncos need a wide receiver. The Saints need a complement. The Colts could use a wide receiver. The Jags, depending on the Calvin Ridley situation, could be in the wide receiver market. We're going to assume T. Higgins stays. So no to the Bengals, no to the Rams, no to the Steelers, no to the Dolphins, no to the Eagles. Then you have the Texans. Cowboys could be in the market for a wide receiver. Packers, no. Bucks, definitely. Bills, definitely. Lions, definitely. Ravens, yes. 49ers, no. Chiefs, yes. Yeah. Not a lot of fuck no's in there for me where I go, okay. Now, I'm with you. I think every time this year you get a little bit over your skis. All these quarterbacks are going to go, all these wide receivers, that we get a little disappointed. But God damn it, Alan, if I'm going to be right about one fucking class, it's going to be this one. We're getting at least 6 wide receivers. Standing on it.
And also, just think about how you do your fantasy draft, right? And sometimes this is not a smart move, but this is the psychology of draft rooms. And I think NFL GMs don't think that differently than us. We think of them as these elite experts, but no, not so much. The fact that you see depth at the wide receiver position, and that's Jay's question. We're going to talk about the wide receiver depth in a moment here. But the fact that you see people like, oh, I can get one in the next round, right? Yeah. I can trade up in the next round. I can. Oh wait, there's only one more edge rusher here. There's only one more offensive lineman I like.
Fair.
And then they say, okay, is it really worth getting, this elite guy who ran, had an elite combine when I can just get maybe someone a smidge down in the next round?
Fair. Very fair. All right, Jay. Sorry, we put this off long enough. Now we'll get into the questions.
He had his name on the screen, though. He had his name on the screen.
That's true. Free promotion for Jay Jackson. With the wide receiver class being so deep, does it change how you trade off vets, wide receiver, and value rookie picks? Instant for me, Alan, I say yes. Now, I'll let you answer this, but I'll preface this by saying I had a guy like Chris Olave, and I made multiple trades within the last couple weeks, sending Chris Olave away for the main piece being the 106 or better.
You acquired the 106.
Yes.
Wow. Well, okay. Wait. I'm not going to let you stop there. I mean, let's say so Brock. You're saying Rome Odunze.
Right. So my thinking behind it, this is my logic behind it, was on the trade show here this last week. All right. Best case scenario we talked about, could it be a J.J. McCarthy or Drake May falls to there? Yeah. Could those quarterbacks go up a little higher and all of a sudden you push down maybe a Neighbors to me? Yes. Worst case scenario for me, it's Rome Odunze. And where did you say Rome Odunze is probably going to slot in?
I'm on Keep Trade Cut right now. I know you guys like to use that. Right now, Dunze is wide receiver 20, a little lower than we thought he was going to be.
A little lower, right. He is the only of the big three wide receivers working out at the Combine this week, and by all accounts, he is a fucking freak athlete. So you could see that rise here this weekend. But I do think your initial evaluation, somewhere in that 14 to 20 range, does feel appropriate for him. Mm-hmm. Where's Chris Olave kind of in that mix?
Okay, let's look. So Olave right now, and we're just using Keep Trade Cut. It's not a Bible. Your listeners, your watchers know that. It's just a guide. Yep. They have him at wide receiver 9.
Okay, so a little bit higher. A wide receiver 1. What is the difference between you? Don't take a Dunze, but pick whoever they have that's like wide receiver 18 that's a vet.
Okay, right, it's Tank Dell, it's Michael Pittman, it's DJ
Okay,
Moore.
What's the difference in your mind between a Chris Olave and a Michael Pittman?
I might even have like Pittman higher, right?
I actually do have Pittman higher.
There you go.
Basically, it's a big tier of shit, right? Not shit. They're very, very good wide receivers, but it's a massive tier that you're going to have a hard time, right? We're going to bicker, and you're going to hear show after show like, no, you got to have this guy. You got to have this guy. There's the same fucking dude in reality. As far as fantasy points are concerned, you're looking at the same upside, the same kind of production. None of those guys, Chris Olave or Michael Pittman, I don't think are a threat where we go, whoa, they can unseat Justin Jefferson or get in that CeeDee Lamb conversation. No, it's not going to happen. They're just going to be really nice dynasty wide receivers. So if that's my worst case scenario for trading away a guy like Chris Olave or a guy like Michael Pittman in that tier, to take the shot on, holy fuck, like I could get maybe a Drake May, a Jaden Daniels if he were to fall, a Malik Neighbors who could be that game changer, a Rome Odunze who could be that game changer, we don't know. But if my floor is basically the same thing and I'm treading water, I do it all the time. Now I'm an asshole, so I'll ask for your second too. You know, like sell you on the name cachet. And sometimes it gets done, but worst case scenario, I'll settle for that 106. So I think that kind of speaks to the depth of the wide receiver class, especially when you have 3 elite guys at the top and then all these other guys coming after. For the last probably, 4 draft classes, Alan, we just keep throwing like 4 or 5 wide receivers that are relevant into the dynasty rankings pool. And it's like, here you go, boys. Figure out who you like, who you don't.
Yeah, I mean, when we talk about that tier from wide receiver 9, Olave, to all the way down to wide receiver 20, where Rome Odunze is currently being valued, they're the category of, like you said, they're not going to catch Justin Jefferson. They're just an every week set it and forget it starter. If they have a bad week, you don't even think about it. You put them right back in. So, but that's a large tier, right? So it's guys that can, they're not headache starts or sits. But again, you play a lot of best ball, so you don't have any headache starts, but most of us do, and they are managed leagues. So I think you have to think about it like that. And the other point I want to underline, just in case anybody missed it, what you said, Mike, is that it only takes one person to make a quote mistake for you to get a quarterback with top 3 draft capital, which would be basically a second round startup pick next year. Yeah,
it's nuts, right? It's nuts that that's a possibility. Right. Think about this too. All right, hypothetically, I made this trade a lot before this J.J. McCarthy. We kind of talked about maybe one of these other receivers sneaking up. You brought up the point RB1. Hypothetical, Braylon Allen or Trey Benson or blow up the combine, go to a great spot, whatever, check all the boxes, and all of a sudden they vault into that. I was buying a lot of Bryce Young for like the 109, 110, 111, 112 in that range. What are your thoughts on that now, if you're just kind of spitballing this best case scenario for this class, like all of a sudden the 109 feels like a pretty good pick too.
Yeah, this ties back to what we said earlier, and if you're just jumping in now, certainly rewind it, that the 101 has special insulation. The problem is that what we actually witnessed last year, Mike, it was one of the worst rookie. I mean, probably the worst rookie 101. Jamarcus Russell wasn't this bad, was he?
Yes, he was worse actually.
Right. He looked like he didn't care.
Yeah.
Jamarcus
Yeah, I
Russell,
don't think he even, I'm going to have to look it up, but I don't think he did much at all ever in his career.
Right. Except, by the way, earned a big salary. But this is before the rookie
Huge.
salary cap. Yeah, he got paid. Which, by the way, I can't say it's not what I would do either. You know, I'd be like, to get hit and this is when you can actually beat the quarterbacks up, right?
Right, and he could chuck the ball 80 yards from his knees though.
Yeah. Back to your question here is you're saying is that you traded for Bryce Young and you gave up the 109, and are you happy with that right now? You're asking me if I'm happy with it, or if
I think I am, because it feels like there's no chance in hell I was going to get a top 12 drafted quarterback in this class.
Right. So let's think about Bryce Young right now in startups goes around the 5th round in Superflex startups. Is that fair?
He might even be 6th if people really hate him. But 5th round is about right.
Right. And you're not even, and you take him because the only reason you draft him is because you took a quarterback early and you're like, oh my God, there's nothing left after him, right? He's the last one that actually has a job probably for the whole year. After that.
Or if it's a league with one of us, somebody's trying to QB hoard to, get the league all riled up. So that's their 5th quarterback that they're taking.
My good friend Stopa, It was
Slim Nose out there just tried to ruin the entire league and set off a firecracker.
Yeah, no, I mean, anytime, like you said, where would Bryce? I think the easier way to think about it is let's just say that we have this rookie draft, all our spots are landed, and then are the special rules of our league that we're in, this hypothetical league, Bryce Young gets thrown back into it. Where would he go is really the question. So let's thought exercise that for a minute.
So if everything worked out the greatest, let's say we got 9 players. You got the RB1, you got the 4 quarterbacks, you got the 3 receivers, and you got Brock Bowers. So the 109 is locked in. Yep, the floor.
Okay. And somebody might do it ahead of RB1.
Yeah. I would say I'd probably be comfortable taking him at the 107 tops. The 108 would feel right. Right. 109 would feel like a value.
You would take J.J. McCarthy ahead of him, right? Because at least you haven't seen him fuck up.
Yeah, I think I could. I think there's a scenario where I could talk myself in, especially if it was like Denver or Minnesota, like those landing spots.
Right.
Not that Denver's surrounded with a ton of weapons, right? They're losing Jerry Jeudy. For whatever reason, they seem to hate Cortland Sutton. He's been on the trade block for the last 3 years. Greg Dulcich is trash. Javonte Williams is fine. But it's the Sean Payton thing. Like, if Sean Payton's hitching his fucking wagon to a rookie quarterback, Sean Payton's been around and done enough in this league for me to be like, all right, I fucking trust you. Mm-hmm. You got a plan. This guy's probably going to be good for you. So, yes, I think I would. I would adjust my rankings to show J.J. McCarthy ahead of Bryce Young, but it's not going to be by a whole lot.
Yeah, I did a similar trade at Bryce Young's lowest. I gave my first for him in a team where I forget which quarterback I lost. Maybe it was Deshaun Watson, somebody I lost. And it ended up being like 111 or 110. So it's the same thing. And then I stupidly, Bryce Young wasn't even startable. So, I didn't have the patience. I traded him that Bryce Young straight up for Austin Eckler. Such a bad deal for me because now I'm obviously I'm sick to my stomach over it. If you're going to do that, I should have traded for like Saquon Barkley or someone at least that I knew would be good this year. For that trade to work out for me, I'm going to need Eckler to land in a good spot. And I just can't see, unless it's the Chargers again, right? It's not going to be a good spot. So yeah, back to your trade. Bryce Young for anything the 109 or later. That's the right deal. And if you get him 111, 112, anything in the 2s, then that's the steal.
I had to look up Jamarcus Russell too. How many yards do you think he threw for in his rookie year?
All right, because you're saying it like that, I'm going to say 2950. Because you're saying it like that.
Not even close.
Oh my God.
373.
Oof. How many games did he not play the whole season or?
Played in 4 games, started 1.
Okay, so he played in 4 games.
Yep.
Okay, so
his second year, he played in 15 games, started 15 games. How many yards do you think he threw for in his first full season?
I'm going to say 3,100.
It's terrible. 2,400 yards, 13 touchdowns, 8 interceptions.
Yep. I mean, that's more like a rookie stats. Yeah. No, that was bad. He didn't have the eye of the tiger, you know?
He had a great completion percentage too of 53.8.
Yeah. Bad.
All the data nerds would lose their fucking minds if that were to happen today.
It's so hard to think back to then. Was he the locked in 101? Was there anyone that was challenging him for that spot?
Calvin Johnson was in the conversation because it was the Raiders, because of how well he did at the combine. If you remember, now the story's not true. Well, we got one question in the queue, but I'll get to it. Don't worry. The story's not true, but I believed it for the longest time. Now, I was kind of heartbroken when I found out it's not true, but it sounds much better this way. So Calvin Johnson goes to the combine, right? This is the way the story went, Alan. Says he's not participating, kind of like Marv. I'm standing on my business, okay? The story goes that somebody kind of in the crowd, right, was taunting him, you know.
Jamarcus.
Calvin Johnson. Because he wasn't working out, was taunting him. You know, he was just there for the measurements and the interviews and stuff, but he's actually on the field and they were taunting him. So the story goes that he borrowed this East Carolina University quarterback's cleats and was like, fuck it, when the wide receivers went up, I'm going to go out and run the 40. And he goes out and he runs like a 4.38, 4.39, whatever it was, at 6'6", you know, 230 fucking pounds. But
so sick.
It turned out it wasn't true, but they did share cleats, right? It was the ECU quarterback who had to borrow Calvin Johnson's cleats because they both had the same foot size.
I was going to imagine that Calvin Johnson, very big foot, very big dong.
Very big foot.
Yeah. Very big dong.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
You know, it's funny.
This is why Alan is always welcome.
Yeah. By the way, you just reminded me of a funny story. So we were talking about Lad McConkey, and do you remember the Giants' kind of scrubby punt returner in the 80s? His name was Phil McConkey.
No, that was way before my time.
Right. Again, if you weren't like a Giants fan, anyway, it was like he just returned punts. But the rumor was they kept him on the team to pee when Lawrence Taylor needed to get piss tested.
to be clean for him.
Right. So Calvin Johnson used the cleats. Phil McConkey was the pee man for Lawrence Taylor.
Love it. Everybody needs to go to pee man.
Yeah, I mean, especially if you can't pass the test. Did you ever have to take a drug test, like a piss test?
Oh, all the time. I used to drive trains for a living, so.
And you were clean? There was no.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I was 18, 19, you know, working a job that paid me 6 figures at the time, where I'm like, I don't even deserve this. So I was kind of on my P's and Q's back in the day.
Good. Yeah, no, I had to take a piss test for a drug test for work one time, which I was very fearful I wasn't going to pass.
Right.
And I was doing the whole cock and maybe like looking back in like the back of magazines for like crazy solutions, or I even thought about the fake dick. You know, the fake dick that has the.
Yep.
I was like, there's no way this works, right? It's supposed to keep the pee warm.
There was an NFL player, do you remember, maybe 10, 15 years ago, got busted with a fake penis at airport security?
Love that.
The Wizinator.
Oh, the Wizinator. That's
the Wizinator. Got busted with the Wizinator. I forget who it was. The one that sticks in my head is Lewis Murphy, but that was the guy that got busted for all the Viagra going through the airport. And people are like, why the fuck does this 24-year-old wide receiver need Viagra? Take Viagra and then go work out and tell me it's not fucking amazing.
Oh, there you go. Oh, so it sounds like you've done it before.
Oh, yeah. I got a subscription upstairs, buddy.
Yeah,
it's not because I'm getting any action. I'm married.
the Viagra, the one time I did take it, and I've used some other similar thing, but the Viagra, it gave me the blue vision. You know, they always warn about blue vision.
Oh,
I was seeing blue. Yeah, it's one of the sci-fi. You see, I saw blue streaks, like an acid trip almost. Ooh. From they said because it's a blue pill.
Yeah,
but yeah, it gave me blue vision.
I wonder if that's because it opens up your blood vessels. Right, that's what it does. Opens up your capillaries, gets the blood flowing. It's the best thing I can describe it. It's kind of like that first stages when you start getting drunk. You get the hot face and the hot ears, right? Like all your blood's really pumping. Viagra does the same thing, right? Not the hangover, obviously.
Right.
I wonder if it's in your eyes, all those little blood vessels that are like popping open, and the blue is actually the color, oxygen depleted blood on the way back.
Yeah, it's funny like that we take for granted that drug is around now, but like what a miracle drug for men, right?
Yeah.
Just unbelievable.
It's amazing. All right, Sean, I got you. What would it take on top of the 102 for Chase? 12-team Superflex start 10, tight end premium 1.5 lineup. All right, Alan. What would you put? Or what would you ask for if you had Jamar Chase and somebody was coming to you with the 102? What else would you need to get this deal done?
We're assuming Superflex, right?
Yep, he's had 12-team Superflex, start 10, 1.5 tight end premium.
I see. All right. So I don't give up players like Chase. There's like almost nothing you can buy them for. So if you're like would you do Tyreek Hill and 102, right? Is that a good way to think about it, right? If the guy wants to get younger, or maybe he already has I don't know, man. I'm going to ask for a lot because I don't believe in rookies like everyone else does. I like almost assume they're going to fail. Whereas everyone thinks assume Marvin Harrison being wide receiver 4 to me is like the most crazy thing, but I understand it. Listen, sometimes the price tag on things, it's not worth it. Like a Hermes bag, my wife likes a Gucci bag. It's not worth the $400. It's a regular fucking purse, but that's the price. If you want it, you got to pay. So I would need something, man. If I was giving up Chase, give me like something older plus the 102. Tyreek Hill, elite asset, right? I mean, I wouldn't do it for like Mike Evans in the 102. It would have to be like, fair. So that's what I want. How about you? I know you probably feel a little bit differently.
Yeah, this is just a little, just a little, Alan. Yeah. So here's my thinking behind it, right? If I think about the 102 and I think about Chase, they're going to go in very similar spots. They are going in very similar spots right now in startups. Whoever that player is, whether it's Marv, Caleb, or Jaden Daniels, if he's a consensus 102, or Drake May, or Malik Neighbors, whatever. Whoever that player at the 102 is going to go in a very similar spot to Jamar Chase. Now, I can't tell you for certainty if they're going to go above Jamar Chase. I can't tell you the other way either, though. Like, I don't know. It might be 50-50. That's where I'm starting at with the trade. Just looking at the flat value. Obviously, the production is skewed to Jamar Chase, right? Here's the other thing that I throw into it, though, that makes the 102 a little bit appealing. So that's where I start, Alan. And if I said just on the value, you give me a decent enough plus, Tyreek Hill would be a smash for me. You give me like a second-round pick, even if it's in 25.
George Pickens in the 102.
It's a start 10, so George Pickens isn't as appealing. Now I got to move George Pickens to somebody else.
All right, let me give you a good name. But guys, continue on.
If it was our best ball league with deeper starters, Alan, yeah, I would take George Pickens. This is another thing at best ball to throw on.
Someone like Tajay Spears, who's a hot name.
Yeah, I think I could move Tajay to somebody else. So yeah, I'd take Tajay.
Tajay 102 gets you to Jamar Chase.
Yeah, for me. Now let me just extrapolate on this. Hypothetically, though, say it's not, right? Say Marv isn't the 102. Maybe somebody takes him at 1, but let's in this scenario just assume he's the 3. So the consensus is Caleb Williams, Jaden Daniels, first and second picks in Superflex leagues. Jaden Daniels goes at 2 to Washington, to a spot everybody likes. They like the weapons, the new ownership, the new coaching staff, the whole thing, right? Cliff Kingsbury, Jaden Daniels, sold. He's probably going ahead of Jamar Chase in startups because he's a quarterback. And here's the other thing. Even if I don't like rookie production, Alan, if I have Jamar Chase and you had Josh Allen, and I come to you and I say, I would like your Josh Allen, I'm willing to offer Jamar Chase plus. You would look at me and go, what's the plus and where's the quarterback, right? If I come to you and I say I have Jaden Daniels in a plus, all of a sudden in your brain you go, oh, I'm already getting the quarterback. So let me just get a decent enough plus. Let me get a George Pickens, Tajay Spears or something like that, and I'm going to down tier the quarterback to the rookie who has rushing upside, whatever. The quarterback puts you in a different conversation to get those elite guys if that's where you really want to go. Jamar Chase is fantastic, but there's a reason that in Superflex leagues, he's not until the later part of the first round in a startup because everybody wants to chase those quarterbacks. And if I want to chase quarterbacks, why not go to the tippy top? Why not go to the super elite? The Jalen Hurts, the Josh Allen, the Patrick Mahomes of the world, CJ Stroud if that's your dude. But Jaden Daniels or Caleb Williams or Drake May, whoever that 102, if it's a quarterback, gets you into that conversation far more than a wide receiver ever will.
Yeah, that's a great point. And I think that we need to divide this conversation into 2 separate conversations. Let's split it. Yeah. There's the context of a startup and there's a concept of an existing league, right? So the reason those quarterbacks, go so quickly in a startup is because we know that the supply is there, right? Like if you don't get them now, you're not getting them. Whereas in an established league where everyone what you have. You have presumably 2 quarterbacks. We don't know,
right.
Who knows what if there's quarterback 8 and 15 that you have or whatever it is. So this trade, obviously it's a existing league. And I like what you said about that that QB2 gets you into the elite conversation, but man, that's a lot of work to have to do. And I'm just not as optimistic. Like I said, I'm always going to default to these rookies probably will fail, and I'll be probably right a good amount, but when it's wrong, it stings, man. It stings bad. So, what's great is that there's really no wrong answer here, other than that it all depends on who you're dealing with, right? If I'm someone that likes veterans, then I'm gonna be on the Chase side. I mean, you and I would be able to get this deal done in a league, no problem. But if we were on the other side of it, we wouldn't be able to get it done.
Right. It'd be interesting too, like hypothetically, just say it is Josh Allen though. Would in a start 10 Superflex leagues, a 12-team league like this, an established league, Allen, would even Justin Jefferson and Jamar Chase, like if you're the Josh Allen owner, right? You got Josh Allen, you got Dak Prescott, you don't have a fucking third. It's a lineup league. You're just finding a third, right? You got a team that you're like, I got stud quarterback, I got a great Superflex guy, the rest of the roster's okay. But like I make my money with the fact that I have the potential to put up a 40 or 50 burger every single week for my QB1 spot. You got that guy, right? Somebody's happened to have Chase and Jefferson. They're like, I'll give you both of them for Josh Allen. How often, like if you had to put a percentage on it, would you pull the trigger on that deal?
I mean, that one would be hard to refuse, wouldn't it? Just like
it's tough, ain't it?
Yeah, I mean that's so funny, and the fact that that's even a question mark is like why anytime I see in my inbox, like I have a lot of Josh Allen, I got him a lot in his, before he was valued as where he was.
Yes.
I just happened to hit. I've missed on a gazillion things, but that one I hit on. So anytime that he's in the trade, I just auto decline, or I just say, even if it's a good offer, I say auto decline. I always say that's a fair offer, but he's not for sale.
Right.
So yeah, the fact that we're even like not even 100% sure for the next best two dynasty assets, that speaks a lot, right? But you wouldn't do that trade?
It'd be very tough.
Josh Allen for Jamar Chase and Justin Jefferson.
But think about how overwhelming you have to get sometimes to get a Josh Allen pride out of somebody's cold dead hands.
It's not worth it. Like if the price is that high, which it is for me, it's like, you could pace someone with Jalen Hurts, right? And Jalen Hurts has a lot of stink on him right now, and you could pace the Josh Allen guy with that.
Dynasty auctions are probably the greatest teller of true value and positional value there is, right? You get $1,000 budget, you get a 12-team dynasty auction startup. You're going to see the elite quarterbacks go in the 30% range, 25 to 30%, maybe even more. Like you've seen some ridiculous shit come out of this, right? I don't necessarily agree with it, but I've seen $400 bids for $1,000 budget for Patrick Mahomes at one time. It happens. You never see that shit for Justin Jefferson.
No.
Like the best receiver in the game, generational, walking into the Hall of Fame, about to reset the fucking market for wide receivers. That's how good he is, right? A 20-point threat every single week. Maybe somebody talks themselves into spending 20%.
Yep.
Maybe. More than likely, it's probably in the 15 range.
Yeah, no, you make a great point. Positional value, especially of the quarterbacks that have multi-year insulation. There's a premium on that. You brought up something about auction. I want to ask you about this. I'm so glad you brought this up. What do you think? And there's a trick question. I don't know if it's a trick question, but what do you think is easier to do? Do you think an auction is easier, or do you think a snake draft is easier to do, or better to do?
I don't want to sound conceited, but I almost feel like I'm on autopilot anymore in snake drafts, where it's just okay. Like you've done so many of them over your life, like you feel comfortable. Okay?
Missionary sex on your bed.
I feel decent in auctions, but I can also tell you that out of the teams last year where I did startups. The ones I did for snakes, I think they ran the fucking table from start to finish. Like, nailed them, right? We did a snake startup in that Dynasty
LOL
league, right? I ran the table, start to finish, felt good, ran the table, won the league, right? Not a whole lot of stress on there. I know Deep Sea gave me a run for money, and it was a nice banner back and forth, but I was like, I'm like fucking Thanos here, all right? I am inevitable. It's happening.
You did smash that league. At least I got my money back in that league.
You did.
Third place.
The ones I fucked up the most, though, were auctions. Like, I feel comfortable in an auction, but shit can go fucking sideways, and all of a sudden I'm trying to be the QB resetter, I don't want people getting fucking values on quarterbacks, I'm the price enforcer.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden you get stuck with one or two players, and you're like, fuck.
Right.
Like, this team is so fucking screwed right
Like,
now.
I just paid 17% for Chris Godwin.
Yeah,
Oh,
exactly.
right. He's like an 8% guy. And then those $6 or $8 extra, $9 are like 3 more players at the end, you know? But
I would say auction is the tougher one to
yep.
master. There's some fucking people out there. I'm amazed at how well they do. It's like, how the fuck every time do you have a good roster already? You got like 8 good players, and you still got the most fucking money left. Like, you still got the how the fuck? I want to be you when I grow up.
I know that's funny. You phrase it like that. The this guy I know, he told me that, and I agreed with you, right? Like I know snake back and forth auction. I'm not great with budgeting the money. I get too aggressive. I want the guys, and then all of a sudden I'm left with I have no money left. With what this guy told me was that you can go into an auction and know nothing, right? Like I don't play much fantasy baseball. He said I can go into a fantasy baseball auction, and if I know who the players are, there's one guy that's like won the league, just bid $1 more than that guy every time. Like I like the players he likes, and all of a sudden you'll be fine. Just forget what you know. Just do what the room is doing, $1 more than the good players, and you'll end up with a good roster. So what his point was is that you can just do what the quote experts are doing and be all right. But it's like when we start taking it into our own hands and we don't know what we're doing, that's when we screw it up. So an auction would be easier in that sense. But yes, your point, I agree with you. It's like, I know the player pool. I know ADP. I can tell you what round every guy goes in. So, and I know how to structure a roster construct.
I do like that. Other than if like I'm your expert and you're following what the fuck I do, because I will lead you down the path of you're fucked.
But just go in, and if you the next auction you do, just bid $1 more than the guy who knows what he's doing.
I like it. All right, is this question here? Devi, with McCarthy and May trending in different directions, would you move May for a package that involves McCarthy and the equivalent of 2 late firsts, guys like AD Mitchell and Brian Thomas? All right, Alan. McCarthy and May, they are trending in different directions, right? I see all the JJ love. I see all the Drake May hate. Eventually, they're going to meet. We'll see where the apex is. What do you think?
I mean, or just quickly before I answer this, Drake May, like, I like him. I don't understand. Yeah, okay. So all the hate is get off Twitter, because this is just people bored of their own takes. Right?
I got mad last week on this one, too, because there were some, what I like to phrase as disingenuous tweets. Okay, I'm all for analysis, and I'm all for different points of view, okay? But if you post, like, Drake May's bad stuff, and you post it in the context of Caleb Williams, JJ McCarthy, Jaden Daniels, Michael Penix, Bo Nix, but you leave off Caleb Williams, right? All of a sudden, I look at the tweet and I go, why the fuck isn't Caleb Williams on it? Well, all the bad shit that you just posted about Drake May, Caleb Williams was fucking worse at everything. Right? That's a disingenuous tweet. You post the good things about what JJ McCarthy does, and you leave Drake May off of it with all the other guys. And I go, why the fuck's May off of it? Well, you go and look, he's better than McCarthy at everything that you had listed. That's disingenuous. You knew when you posted it, when you looked up your stats and you were typing and filling it out, that you were like, this doesn't fit my narrative. I can't send this out. Well, I can now. Let me just erase this right here and send. That's the kind of shit, like, when the hate really starts or the hype really starts, that gets on my fucking nerves. Post the whole picture. I'm not saying post Michael Pratt's stats. I don't give a fuck, right? No offense to Michael Pratt if you're watching, okay? But, like, if you're not one of the big 6 quarterbacks, that's who we're comparing. Guys who are day 1 possibilities, day 2 possibilities. So I don't like the disingenuous shit. I'm all for, though, discourse and discussion, but a lot of it just really feels like prospect fatigue, and we're at the time of season where people like to nitpick and try to make a name for themselves in the prospect scouting space, and some people try too fucking hard at it, in my opinion.
Right. But you can always tell who the tryhards are, right?
Yes.
I mean,
yes.
It's and yeah. So to answer, how do you say it's Bargustus? Is that a Greek name? Bargustus?
It's a great name. That's what it is.
Great
Doesn't
name,
even have to be Greek.
Yeah.
Just great.
Don't overthink it. Drake May, by all accounts, it doesn't matter who you trust, who you follow, he's a blue chip prospect. He has a 50% chance to become a franchise quarterback, which means if that happens, you'll know in year 1, you'll know, and he's going to be a super flex asset for the next half decade. That's a 50% or better chance to happen. JJ McCarthy is probably less than that. So upside is probably the same. Team context is not going to matter because I'm going to go back to the example everyone used. Everyone thought Houston was a bad landing spot last year. Doesn't matter.
Included.
Yep. I mean, why wouldn't you, right? It was toxic environment, new coach and everything, whatever. And then a good franchise quarterback makes it a good environment. So I would lean on May here. Getting those 2 extra first-round picks. I mean, how many of those guys are actually going to matter and be consistent fantasy? I mean, if you love those guys to the end, sure, you're getting the right amount of value, but I want the blue chip player. How about you?
Yeah, I'd take Drake May here.
Do you agree? 50% chance to become a franchise quarterback?
Yes. Another thing that stood out, right? When I've seen criticism of Caleb Williams, which I think is valid, like he didn't have the greatest year. It was kind of a step back, and there was times he played a little too much hero ball. I'm still of the mindset. He's fucking phenomenal. We use the word generational a lot. It kind of gets overused. But he's in the tier, like he gives me the same feels of guys coming out, when Trevor Lawrence came out, when Andrew Luck came out. Like, you can look at him and go, like, start to finish in their college careers, these guys were fucking electric, dynamite, did everything I love to see at the NFL level, but they did it at college, okay? Drake May gave me a lot of the same feels. But when people criticize Caleb Williams, I see a lot of apologists go, well, go look at his 22 tape. Go look at what he did in 22. When people criticize Drake May, I don't hear people rush into his fucking defense and go look at what he did in 22 because his 22 season was phenomenal. There's a reason he elevated right up there with 1A, 1B with Caleb Williams, and it was his 22 year. This past year, who was he throwing to the football to? Like, I honestly want to ask the casual fan who's critiquing Drake May, name his receivers, right? No. You may give me Devontae Walker, which I would tell you then, he played half a season. The NCAA had their head up his ass, wouldn't let him get cleared in time to play, like the full season. So, name me another one, though. And if you could come up with McCollum as his other receiver, I'll probably jerk you off. Like, good job, buddy.
This show just went gay. I love it. We're all inclusive now.
We are.
You shit in your pants last week and you're jerking someone off this week. I love it. I
do. I do whatever it takes, Alan.
Yes.
Whatever it takes.
But, man of the people.
But that's the point. Like, the weapons aren't the same between the two. Obviously, Mac Brown is a Hall of Fame level coach. But who's the offense coordinator? Could a casual fan even name who the offense coordinator of North Carolina is? No.
So you're saying that May was good despite the anchor of his conditions, right? And
yes,
put him in a spot where he's got competent coaching, some weapons that are decent. And now what you just saw was his floor, and there's only upside from there. In
my opinion, yes. I think he's phenomenal. A lot of the stuff that he struggles with is stuff that can be cleaned up. Now, the not throwing to the right is a little bit concerning, but then you also just see, like, the arm talent is ridiculous, same as Caleb. The rushing ability, people knock him, but then praise J.J. McCarthy for his rushing ability, even though Drake May ran for more yards per attempt. They used him on more design runs. Like, Michigan was a running team, and they didn't really run their quarterback a whole lot, which is like a
head scratcher. There you go.
A little bit, like, especially with Jim Harbaugh, like, he just, when he was in the NFL, it was just, he brought the read option essentially in with Colin Kaepernick. Like, that, and even Alex Smith.
Alex Smith was a running QB, yeah.
Yeah. But he didn't really use McCarthy, so it's a little head-scratching, even though, like, I do probably agree if they were to line up and run a 40, probably J.J. McCarthy runs faster. But Drake May can move, right? And he's built like a fucking tank. So I think a lot of it's prospect fatigue. Some of it's just disingenuous shit. Some of it, people don't want to get the whole story. I'm with you, though. I wouldn't overthink this. It does feel a little bit reactionary. I'm just going to stick with Drake May. You can ride out McCarthy. I think he's completely fine. This isn't a McCarthy hate. But I would rather just take my shot on the guy at one point, at least in my opinion. I was like, who's the QB1 of this class? For me, it was Drake May.
Right. And, I know you guys respect Cody Carpentier. He came on my podcast last week, and he had the same opinion. He thought that if he was an NFL GM picking at one, that he would lean towards Drake May. That's where he wanted to invest. So
Cody's a pretty fucking sharp dude.
Yep. And again, it doesn't mean that anyone's right, wrong, and different. I mean, if quarterback seems to be the one position that the NFL scouts can't figure out 100% either. And the most important piece of the scouting is the one piece that you can't see until they get on the NFL, the processing speed. That's basically, and how do you measure that until you get on the field, you know?
Say, Kevin hit it on the head here. We get along so well, Alan. Every time come on your show, every time you come on here, it's fantastic. Kevin was the matchmaker that made it all happen here.
He had for months. He said, you and Mike, you got to link up. And I'm like, you leave me the fuck alone already. No, okay, I never said that to him, but he was right. So he is responsible for our first date. And, you know, we're going to live happily ever after. That's why when you talked about that, you know, the jerking off, that I said, oh my God, this is going to be a bonus friendship here, you know?
Somehow like the league chat is now.
Yeah, the gay talk got us going here, you know?
Oh, that's nuts.
This is just locker room talk. It's towel snapping. No big deal.
Yep. All right. How many questions? I don't know. Probably not a lot. This was like a soliloquy. Fuck.
Is that right?
I got it. All right. The vodka's kicking in now, Alan.
There you go.
Vodka's kicking in. Soliloquy.
So what do you make there? Vodka soda?
No, just straight, buddy.
A little ice in there. I hear the
little ice.
Yeah.
Like put the vodka in the freezer, throw a little ice in.
Yeah, I like it with a little bit of flavored soda, like a little lemon lime soda in it.
That's fair.
It just gives me.
So this is a flavored vodka. So Svedka, I don't know if you ever heard of that one.
Svedka, come on, that's like, you know, the modern day Absolute vodka. Of course, I've heard of Svedka. That's
my jam.
Yeah, because Svedka has the price tag of Absolute, but it's got the taste of Grey Goose.
It's good. It's good stuff.
Yeah.
I've upgraded from UV Blue, which like tastes like gasoline now to me.
Deep Eddy is the one is my go-to. You know Deep Eddy?
No.
Yeah,
Eddy.
That's, you know, it's a Tito's knockoff, but it's delicious.
Ooh, I have to give that one a try.
Yeah, cheap.
Yeah, so this one's blue raspberry, actually.
Oh, a good comment here by our guy Jay. Vodka is the only thing that's straight tonight. I love that. Yeah. The Wizinator. We've gone through a lot of stuff here.
The Wizinator, Viagra talk, whatever.
Yep. You know, you tell me this. So, our friend Theo Grebinger asked me asked a bunch of people to make a congratulations video for one of their guys. You know, Memphis Young, who does a podcast for them.
Yeah.
Anyway, so he said, "Hey, make a congratulations video," and everyone's like, "Oh, thanks, congratulations on 1,000 episodes." Very straight, you know, nothing vanilla. My video, you know, said it made a lot of gay references in it, and they cut it out of the thing. They got a little nervous. I said, "Don't ask me to do something." And then not it wasn't anything derogatory. It was just, you know,
right.
It was. I said
it's the PC culture. You know, I'm not going to go on a soapbox here, but it's just kind of the way of the world. When you're of a certain age, like I always thought it was funny. You know, people call you boomer and everything else now.
And you
technically, like I called other people boomers because they're my grandparents and they actually are baby boomers.
You're young. How old are you?
37 years.
You're young, man. You're young. Old. You're a millennial. You're a millennial. The joke, by the way, was
I like to say right at the end of Gen X.
Okay,
yeah, Alan.
So
we moved the goalposts a little bit.
Am I Gen? No, because I'm not Gen X, right? I'm 48.
Oh, you're Gen X all the way.
Okay, all right.
Gen X all the way.
I thought I was Gen Y.
X. What was Y? Is there a Y?
I don't know. I mean, somebody looked that up.
Because you got like boomers, right?
Well, boomers are, you know, the 60-year-old or they're like the 80-year-olds. And then before that was the baby boomers were the World War II generation.
World War II, right? A lot of the people born in the 50s too fall into that generation. This is interesting. We're going to figure this out tonight on South Harmon AMA.
Right. So, okay, here it is right here. So the boomers are to 1964, 46 to 64. Gen X is 65 to 79. So, yeah, you're right. I'm in there. Gen Y is 80 to 94. And Gen Z is 95. And Gen Y, by the way, is also known as millennials. But that's the, you know.
Right. I think it's a lot of like where our generation grew up. And this has been something that's been a transition for me for your entire life. Like things we said when we were younger, you know, are not okay to say now. I get it. You know, like some of the names you call your friends.
you can't call someone again. I'm just saying this just for, you know, we're saying I don't mean, but you can't, like we would say if something was stupid, we'd say, oh, that's faggy. You can't say fag anymore.
Yeah.
It's not a thing you can say.
But we use the R word quite a bit all the time. Right.
Well, we used to, that was even like 15 years ago. You could say the R word.
Yep.
It's not anymore.
It's one of those things. It's always interesting when you get to that level too. Like what's acceptable and not. And I always feel like I'm going to be out of pocket, to somebody. Somebody's going to find whatever I do offensive. So even if it's in jest, kidding around, but it kind of comes with the territory. Right?
We were talking about
what you can't tell from somebody's jokes is their actual true intentions ever. Right? Nobody knows like what you actually support and what you don't support. What you would do in private, what you wouldn't do in private. So it's interesting. It's the way of the world now.
Yeah, no, I like that we were talking about Gen X, Gen Y, and our chat says Gen Italia.
Jay Jackson's always good for the zingers.
No, he's sharp, a good, quick-witted guy.
X and Y are ignored by today's generation. All right, so we don't even acknowledge them that they're in there. I think there needs to be a special generation for 90s babies. Like that just needs to be its own generation. Because it's just different for the kids who were raised in the 90s. So.
All right. It's a mix of Gen Z and right. I see what you're saying. But you know what, this new generation, again, we can close out this topic if we want, but the new generation is called Generation Alpha, 2010 forward.
Alpha?
Yeah, because they started over after Z.
I wouldn't mind being Generation Alpha.
Right.
Like, that's a good title to have. And just think about all the shit that they're going to see, right? Generation Alpha, they're going to see in their lifetime. I mean, we've gone from like, I used to spend like 30, 40 minutes downloading one internet porn picture to print off in black and white.
We were talking about the access to porn. This is okay. You hit on a good topic here. In my day, we had to hide the dirty magazine like under the mattress, right?
Yep.
You got like some disgusting, filthy magazine, and it had, Now it's just like it's right on your phone. It's, I mean,
yes.
Yeah. I don't know if that's a good or a bad thing for, I obviously when I was younger, I wish I had that, but I'm glad I didn't.
Well, think about just your day to day, your first world problems you have now, right? You go to a YouTube page, you pull up a video, they make you watch a 15-second ad or whatever before you can actually hit the skip button, and you cuss it out. You go, son of a fucking bitch, man! Right. I gotta watch this stuff. If I would have told you when you're a kid, you could have this little device in your pocket, you could watch a video on anything you wanted to know,
so crazy,
within a few minutes. And they would explain whatever the hell it is, right? It's crazy. Like, if you need to know how to do video editing, you can find a video on YouTube that will tell you how. If you want to know how to build a rocking chair, there's somebody on there that's got a video that will walk you through step by step. But here's the catch. You got to watch a 15-second ad. I told you that when you were a kid. You'd be like, I don't give a fuck. Sign me up. This is the greatest thing ever. Now, when you're older and you're doing it as an adult, you're like, this is bullshit. So
it's all we get used to, right? I mean, and by the way, you could also pay for premium and never have to watch an ad, too. I mean, that's an option as well. You pay for, a Netflix subscription. I mean, nobody wants to pay. I don't know anyone, by the way, that has YouTube Premium. Like, not literally, I don't know one person. Everyone I know has Netflix, or they have Max, or they have Hulu, whatever, but no one wants to pay the $7 for YouTube Premium.
Yeah.
And we spend most of our time on YouTube, is my point.
Yep. Yeah, I'm kind of with you. It was an interesting way to end this one, but what's considered not PC, I'm okay saying it. Like, I'm okay not being PC. What I'm not okay with is hateful, derogatory, directed fucking things at individual peoples or groups. So it's the way it is, man. And if anybody out there, this goes for everybody, man. I tell my kids this. I tell my kids' friends this. Okay, the way this generation is right now. I got teenage daughters. I got an 7-year-old girl. The online bullying is fucking insane. The way the internet is. Being a content creator, kind of the same way, right, Alan? You're subject to all kinds of shit. But I tell those little kids out there, I said, listen, if anybody's picking on you and bullying you, just let me know. Because I got no problem just fucking shitting on some fucking 9-year-old kid and body bagging him.
You know what? Back in the day, you needed like if you had a parent that had they were like a Hell's Angel, that's one thing. Their dad, you're the ultimate online troll. Like you're not a proactive troll, but if somebody messes with, you bring out, you're an elite level troll in a way where you need to be. So yeah, that's
yeah, I'd sleep just fine at night if I like fucking body bagged a 12-year-old.
Totally.
Don't give a shit. Not at all. Which is hilarious because back in my Madden playing days, right after college, I used to play professionally, right? So used to practice when online was first becoming a thing. And you get matched up against like a 12-year-old, 13-year-old kid. They start talking shit.
You start
with
cursing
their little
at
voice. Right. And then you really start going in on them like you should have been swallowed. Don't let your mom see this because she'd be fucking embarrassed at her offspring. This performance is disgusting. How do you live with yourself?
Do you remember there would be recordings of this stuff? Like you could play YouTube videos of people talking shit with each other, which was the best part. That's how demented I was. I was at where we were talking before the lights went on, like how I would kill time at my office when I was working in a cubicle environment 100 years ago. And it would be like listening to people talk smack online. Or, like fight videos and you watch stadium fighting videos of the fans beating the crap out of each other?
I love it.
I love it.
It's fantastic.
That and First Amendment audit videos where the guy goes, "No, I'm in public. I can film this." You ever see those videos?
All those people always think they have all these rights to.
Oh, I know. They talk to a cop. I'm not going to answer any questions to the cop. If I tried that, I would be like upside down in handcuffs, like they're kicking me in the ribs.
Well, I couldn't do it respectfully. That'd be the hard part.
That's what I'm saying. I couldn't tell a police officer, like, I don't answer any questions. Get the hell off me. And then like,
they have this confidence that I just don't have.
Some of them don't even roll down the window. They say by law, I don't have to roll down the window. They show them their license through a tinted window. It's crazy. The First Amendment.
I'm surprised more of those police officers too don't just tell them like, buddy, I'm just trying to do my fucking job here.
Well,
but in the same sense, I also do like watching the videos where the cops feel like they're fucking, the ultimate authority. Like, back the fuck off, chief. All right.
I referee high school basketball, so I do understand. Like, that's kind of like a police officer and obviously a much lower stakes situation. And so I do understand your ego gets a little involved and some coach is wide off. And instead of saying, hey, I understand, you're like, you just want to give the technical foul, which in their case, it's a ticket or an arrest or something like that.
Right. Sometimes those fuckers take it a little too far though, too. But I do understand they got a job to do. But some of those guys are just plain assholes.
Yeah. It sounds like a lot of people in the chat have also seen these videos because they're using exact quotes. They don't need the license part. Like these are, if you scroll through TikTok, Instagram Reels, YouTube Shorts, whatever it is, in addition to South Harmon videos, which I'm seeing more of, by the way, I shamed your guy into cutting more videos last time I was here.
He did. He did.
And he's doing a good job, by the way.
Christian's doing a fantastic job. Even though, still thinking about him, I guess I haven't reached out to him. He was in the hospital. Had a little pneumonia.
Chris was. All right, so
Christian was up there, but he's still pumping out shorts, so he's a gangster.
I'm going to give him one little piece of advice. This is a piece of advice for him because I love the videos. I love the clips. Lower the volume of the music more than you think you should on those clips. Because when you're scrolling through them, sometimes when you're making them and you're setting the volume low, it sounds lower. But if you go back and listen to some of your clips, the volume sometimes is greater than your voice. And I'm like, well, I'm struggling to hear what you have to say. And I love listening to your clips. He's picking great ones. So
I like it. Great advice. And I mumble.
Pull down the volume to about 5%.
You know who you never have to worry about hearing is Adam, because he deep throats that thing.
Oh my God.
Barry White's it.
Yep.
All right. Let's get the fuck out of here before I end up getting us canceled.
It's from who? Who's gonna cancel us? You're it's your show.
Somebody will. Somebody will have a problem. You know
Thanks
how
for
it
having
is.
me on, man. I do appreciate it. I always love hanging with you.
Alan, we'll definitely have to do this again real soon. There was a great comment in there too. Like, this is setting up, maybe in the off seasons in the future, we'll have to do this where we have one night a week, right? The Alan and Mike podcast. We'll figure out a place to put it. Doesn't matter. We'll just put it in the fucking ethos. Somebody will find it. But it's a great time. Everybody who tuned in, appreciate y'all. We'll see y'all back here, same time, same place next week. Make sure you give Adam all kinds of shit for missing out on this one too. That's
Big Dog Adam?
Yeah, fucking Big Dog thinks he's better than me. Love y'all. Ride this thing. Peace.